Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Iwari's Voice. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome, welcome. And if this is not your first time on my channel, welcome back. Yay! So today we're having another episode of Career Couch. And on today's Career Couch, we're going to have a very special guest. And her name is Kennie. I'm not going to give anything away. I'm going to wait for her to come on and introduce herself. Hi, Kennie.
Hi, Iwari.
Yay! Welcome, welcome. It's so exciting to have you on the Career Couch today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sorry?
I said thank you so much for having me.
Thanks
It's good
for
to be
coming
here.
on. I love the whole virtual world, and the fact that we can now do interviews virtually
I
makes
know,
life a lot easier.
I know.
So welcome. Oh, I'm excited. Okay, so we're just gonna get right into it. On today's episode of Career Catch, we have Kennie with us, and I'm just gonna let Kennie do a brief introduction of herself. So Kennie, can you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do. Tell us a bit about your background, and then we'll take it from there.
Sure. So my name is Kennie, as you all know, and at the moment I am a compliance analyst, basically and I currently work at KPMG. If you've heard of you've probably heard of KPMG. And before that, I worked in quite a small startup, also doing compliance, but more like managerial stuff. So like I was a compliance manager, and yeah, it's quite an interesting move that I made from compliance manager to compliance analyst. And then before the startup before joining the startup world, and that was straight out of uni, I worked at RBS, so Royal Bank of Scotland, and that's where I kind of stepped my foot into compliance. And before compliance, I actually didn't do a law related or compliance related degree or anything. I did a science degree, so I'm actually a scientist at heart. And science actually links into my love for skincare. So I'm actually like a massive skincare enthusiast as well. So I like create skincare content on YouTube here at Kennie O and on Instagram as well. So it's all very, very interesting. I do quite a few things, but yeah, that's kind of my career journey so far.
So Kennie is on YouTube as well. Kennie was one of the few people that, encouraged me when I started my YouTube journey. If she noticed the mistake on my channel, she'd be like, "Oh sis, I don't know if you picked up on that." So yeah. Kennie,
I made lots of them
in the description. You all should go check her channel out. You're gonna love it, and you're gonna love her content. I'm gonna leave her IG handle in the description as well. But one thing that you touched on, Kennie, that I really love was the fact that you said you did a science undergrad. So can we just like dig into that a little bit? Why science? Why did you go down the science route?
Yeah, sure. So like science for me has always just been something I've been interested in from a very young age. I've always been into like sciences, maths. Growing up, I was especially interested in like biology, chemistry, and it was really fascinating for me. And I think it was a little bit as well to do with the fact that my dad's actually a doctor, and we always had that kind of pressure to go into the medical field as well. It's like, oh, are you going to become a doctor as well? Oh, your dad is a doctor. Who's going to take over the doctor? My mom's a nurse, so it was kind of like a family thing. I just felt like I had to go down that route. But then I think in the process, I also gained an interest in it. So I ended up doing like A-level sciences, GCSE science, triple science, just science, until I basically graduated, and then I was like, yeah, by science, basically. So
yeah, another thing I wanted to point out, I don't know why you're not saying it's Kennie. You should say it with your full chest. Kennie graduated with a first class. Say it.
Please, yeah,
So you graduated with a first class. So why was it that when you finished, you're like, nah, goodbye? Why?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think anyone's actually asked me that before, but it was just, I think when I looked at the practicality of it, like I really enjoyed my degree. So I actually did forensic science in university. I really, really enjoyed my degree. But I think when I looked at the practicality of it, like what does it involve? Like what's the day-to-day activities of a forensic scientist, of an actual scientist? And also another big thing, if I'm going to be really honest and open, was I was looking at like kind of the pay bracket and the pay, like kind of like the ceiling. What can you actually earn? Because I can't, like, back then I was very like financially motivated, and I was just kind of like, okay, so what can I actually earn as a scientist? And it just wasn't looking that great. And I know there's, I think the odds were kind of stacked against me in terms of actually earning what I wanted to be earning. Obviously, there's scientists out there, like I'm sure, with everything that's happened in the world recently, COVID, I'm sure there's lots of scientists that have made lots of money, but they're like the few, like the favored few.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think that was going to be the case for me. So I thought, okay, let me just leave this behind and actually pursue something that will keep me motivated, because I feel like if my salary was not really up to par, I just won't stay motivated in that field.
What made you choose compliance? So when you decided that, okay, I love science, but as a career, I don't think I'll be motivated enough if I go down that route. What made you think of, okay, let me go down this compliance route?
Yeah, so with compliance, so the thing I was actually very interested in after leaving uni was like financial crime and like fraud and things like that. Because obviously I haven't done forensic science. Forensic science is really good in the sense that it's not just like science, like chemistry, maths. Although there was a lot of that, there was also like, you know, fraud. We learned about, you know, it's about investigations and things like that. And I was interested in like financial crime. I wanted to do some investigation, and I basically wanted to kind of move financial crime. I wanted to move forensics, but to the financial world, if that made sense. So that was kind of like how and as I don't know if you know anything about compliance, like the guys that are watching, but financial crime is an aspect of compliance, and that's basically where I work within compliance.
Okay.
So that was kind of like how I made that transition, like, okay, forensic, but to the financial world.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what I'm doing at the moment.
Okay, nice. You've been there now how many years?
Yeah, so I've got around 4 years of compliance experience now. So I've moved across like different countries, not countries, I wish, different companies in that time. So I've got about 4 years. So it's been like 4 years since I graduated from.
Nice. So when you graduated, you went into RBS, you got an entry-level role. How was it looking for that entry-level role? Because to be honest, the level of competition in the UK is on another level. I can't deal. So how did you handle competition entry-level roles, especially since you didn't have a financial services background, you don't have a finance degree or a degree in law or along those lines. So how did you get that entry-level role? Give us the tips.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. To be honest, I really struggled when I first graduated. There was a part of me that was naive enough to think that, okay, I've graduated, I've got a first class degree, you know, I'm young, I'm energetic, the world's my oyster, you know, let's go get this. And all I kept getting was rejections. In fact, some people wouldn't even, sometimes I didn't hear anything. I'd apply, literally it was rejection after rejection after rejection. It was crazy. And I had to come to a realization that, you know, even your first class degree doesn't set you apart as much as you think it might. And it's unfortunate. I don't want to discourage anyone that's, you know, maybe in uni, like studying at the moment, because it will set you apart later. Now, I think now it does. But I think during that entry level stage of things, basically I struggled a lot. I struggled alongside everyone that was struggling. We all struggled together. But, you know, by the grace of God, I finally heard about an opportunity through someone I knew, actually. So God used someone that I knew, and she was already in RBS at the time. And she said, "Oh, you know," she literally just came to our house one time and she was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing at home?" Like, she's Nigerian and very blunt.
Yeah.
You first class graduates. It's like midday and you're at home. What are you doing? Where's your job? And I was just like, listen, I don't have a job. I'm still searching. I'm struggling. In fact, I didn't really know what I wanted to go into. I was just at that point I would have taken anything because I just wanted a job. And she was just, oh yeah, there's this opportunity. She told me about it, and yeah, the rest is history. So I actually ended up getting that job, and that was kind of how. And it's amazing because she literally worked within the industry that I was thinking about going into, like my preferred industry. Was like financial crime compliance, and yeah, that's how I got that role. So, you know, yeah, that's who God used. And networking is also very, very important. Like, I think that, you know, you need to look at your network, because if that you know, lady wasn't within my network, it could have been a different story. And even right now, and networking is still helping me out. Even with my most recent role, that's how it happened. Can you imagine? Like, it was literally someone that knew about the opportunity. We got talking. She said, "Oh, this opportunity," and I was like, "Oh, please, like, yeah, I'll go for that." And that's it. So networking is key. So in terms of the tips, networking is key. Don't give up. Like, you have to keep going. I mean, what choice do you have? You want a job, you have to keep applying. So don't feel discouraged. And, you know, that interview process, take it seriously, because I know people that had that same interview that didn't get the job. So, you know, you need to really do your research and know what you're talking about in the interview. And it's a different kettle of fish once you graduate, trying to get like a job, you know, outside of after like higher education and stuff, you really have to take it seriously.
Yeah. So I loved what you said about networking and using your network. So even though you finished with a first class degree from undergrad, it didn't mean that all the firms were biting and jumping at you. We want her. We want her. At the end of the day, you still have to use your network. So you can't we can't overemphasize, or you don't underestimate your network, basically, because I'm sure this person that, you know, introduced you to your entry level job, she had known you for a while, so she had known the type of person you were for a while, and that's why she was confident enough to recommend you for that role. I'm sure there were other people that didn't have a job at that time, and maybe she didn't recommend them for that role. So do not underestimate your network. That's very important. So just talking now about, you got into your entry level role, you started your entry level role, you started as a contractor, and then you became a permanent staff. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I started as a contractor because I think at the time RBS, they wanted to take people, they wanted to kind of like test the waters with people, because those people, they took on like, you know, quite a few people in one go, and what they'll do is like you start working and you basically have to like kind of show yourself, because some people they let go of them quite quickly. Actually, some people that I started working with, some people didn't last. So I think that's why some companies will take on people as a contractor, and then when they kind of see that, okay, you're worthy almost of becoming permanent, and then they'll make you permanent. However, being a contractor, you actually kind of earn more in a weird, so you actually end up earning more than their permanent staff. And yeah, so there's different like pros and cons to being a contractor. I actually kind of preferred being a contractor in a way, but the only thing that was good about becoming permanent was like you get holiday pay. So you get holiday pay. So if you want to take like holiday, you still get paid during your time off. But whereas the contractor, you get a daily rate. And if you don't come in, you don't work. If you don't come in and you don't work, you don't get paid. But if you work most of the time, you take home more money. Pros and cons to being a contractor. Okay, let me talk about being a contractor first. Contractor is like you only have to give 1 week's notice period. So if you find another contract, you find another job, you just tell them, listen, I'm off next week, and you're literally off next week, right? So it's quite flexible in that sense. And obviously the fact that you generally kind of get to manage your own finances, so they give you all your money, and then you can sort out your tax and stuff. And if you get a good accountant, that could work out quite well for you. If you don't, you don't. Anyway, let's not get too much into that one. But but yeah, so I think financially, you kind of, generally speaking, you take home more money, flexibility, really. I think those are the good points about being a contractor. When you're permanent, obviously you're permanent, that's job security. They can't just get rid of you like that. You know, it's you're secure in that job. You get holiday pay, and actually one thing that was really good with RBS, they sponsor you for like qualifications. So I don't know if you know about the ICA, the International Compliance Association exams. So they literally sponsor you for like the diplomas, like the really good ones, not just the basic ones. So you get those kind of perks. Obviously, you know, we all know the perks that comes with being permanent with the country, you know, with a company. You know, share schemes and all that kind of stuff. So there's pros and cons to it. For me at the time, I just kind of cared about how much am I taking home. Okay, let's stick with contracted. And then eventually I did kind of switch over to permanent, because I had to, they basically offered it to us, and we said
so did you do your ICA qualifications at RBS, or when you left?
I actually didn't. So I left for the next job, for the startup job, just before I was meant to sit those exams, because it seemed like a much better opportunity at the time. So I just said, I'm just going to leave. And I moved on to that. But I'm currently sitting at ICA now, finally.
Okay, nice. So am I. So we'll talk off air about that.
Off air.
Yes. What really I was going to ask, so you're moved from RBS into the what do you call it? Into the startup company. What spurred that? Because you said that you were headhunted, basically. Yeah. What did you have to do? Is it that you just had a good LinkedIn profile? What brought that about?
Okay, so with headhunting, I made sure that my CV was across a lot of job boards. CV Library is a really good one to make sure your up-to-date CV is always on CV Library, eFinancial Careers. So just make sure that your up-to-date CV, especially if you're actively searching, your up-to-date CV should be on the job boards constantly. And my LinkedIn profile at the time was quite average, wasn't that great, but now it matters more now than ever. Like, you know, I think a good, solid, up-to-date LinkedIn profile is really, really important. I know people that literally get job offers from you know, LinkedIn. And I recently actually got a job offer from someone that literally DM'd me on LinkedIn, like a really good opportunity, but I didn't end up taking that one. I took KPMG instead. So make sure your LinkedIn profile is always up to date. And I think, yeah, so they found my CV on CV Library, and then they literally called me. I was quite reluctant, but then at the time, because again, like I said, I was quite financially motivated then, because I was just kind of like, what's going to give the most money, like, for my time, you know, I'm putting all this time, what's going to give the most return? And yeah, that was giving me a massive, a lot more money than I was getting at RBS as a permanent staff. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to take this challenge. It was a, you know, higher role, much more senior, but I was kind of like, I'll just take on this challenge and just go for it. But to be honest, at the back of my mind, I was just thinking, yeah, the money's good. And it sounds, it's a bit embarrassing saying that now, because now I've learned that it's just not really about the money, like, at all. Like, there's so much more to a job than like how much they're paying you, because sometimes it's not even worth it. That's what I've grown to learn in the past few years anyway.
It's part of our career journey and our career growth. You can't be expected to know everything at the start. That's why it's a journey. You learn along the way.
Exactly. So yeah, that's how that happened. Headhunted, got the job, took it, and I was there for almost 2 years.
Okay.
Actually, more than 2 years. I was there for like 2.5 years. Yeah.
Nice. So what made you want to leave, or what made you leave?
So like I said, it was a startup company. I moved from RBS, and I was moved from this this massive, you know, bank to a tiny startup. Actually, it was a different industry. It wasn't even banking anymore. So it was like a complete 360. And I just kind of saw it as like a shiny new challenge and took it on. And basically, the startup world just wasn't really for me. And like, it didn't really go with my work style that I like how I like to work. It's quite intimate. Like, if you're someone that really likes like a really small, intimate, close-knit team where everyone's literally like rubbing on everyone's shoulder and it's just like a bit suffocating. If I'm sure I know there's people that like that, but that just really wasn't for me. You know, I prefer a bit more structure as well. I feel like with a startup, you know, you don't really get as much structure as you get in a bigger company. And you know, it's a growing company, and you really do have to be like fully invested. You can't be like, you really do have to be fully invested, because it's a growing company and you're working directly, you know, you're reporting to the CEO. That's his baby, so you've got to take it very, very seriously. You can't just be here like, oh yeah, 5 o'clock, I'm out. They're gonna look at you like, what are you doing? So I just really craved a bit more structure, basically, and that's why I opted for the big company again.
So when you decided to move from RBS, were you looking at any particular role, or were you just open to whatever role came your way?
Yeah, so I was looking for a particular role, but actually the roles that I was looking for wasn't what I ended up being headhunted for. So I was kind of looking for similar roles to what I was doing, so like a compliance analyst. But then I was looking for like, you know, more senior ones, like, because then I was just like a compliance analyst, like you could say junior, because obviously it was straight from uni. I was looking for maybe like a more senior one, someone, you know, a bit more. Now that I had some experience on my CV, I could look for, you know, something with a bit more pay, perhaps. So that's kind of what I was looking for at the time. I was open to industries. I actually had an interview at the same time. At the same season I had the interview with the startup company, I also had an interview with like a law firm as well, which I was open to that as well. So I was kind of open to doing that compliance within any industry, really. I didn't really mind banking or law.
So when you made the move from the startup to where you are, you moved to where you are currently, is it?
Yeah, so I moved couple of months ago to KPMG, yeah.
Okay, so you moved a couple of months ago to KPMG, and how are you finding KPMG so far?
Yeah, KPMG is good. It's good. I think I kind of found what I was looking for, in the sense of like not being too suffocated in the startup world, and it's a bit more like, you know, professional, I guess you could say, and you just kind of like, and I know this is odd because some people want that close-knit work thing, but it just wasn't really working for me at the time. And I just really wanted like a professional, get straight to the point, and yeah, just a bit more structure.
Yeah. And that's perfect.
Yeah, and the structure, and I'm liking that. So yeah, in terms of what I'm looking for, and it's, you know, a better paid opportunity as well, which is always good because, you know, I said I was very financially motivated back then.
Yeah, that was my next question. I was gonna ask, when you moved, did you take a pay drop, or was it more?
Do you know what? I was willing to, though. Like, I did interview for a few roles where I was kind of willing to take a pay drop, because a pay cut, because I just wanted to kind of move industries as well, and I just wanted a new opportunity, and I was willing to. But a couple of the jobs that I interviewed for that I didn't get, where, like, I remember one was like maybe the same salary. So I wasn't really like looking for money at that point. I was kind of like, okay, now I know what's important to me in a work environment, like where I feel comfortable. So I'm like, okay, it's not really about the money anymore. So I was willing to take a pay cut, but I didn't end up taking the pay cut. And this could even act like a form of encouragement to people that, you know, potentially you've had, you know, interviews, you're looking for a job, and you keep getting rejected. I actually got rejected a lot of times, like so many. If I was counting, I can remember at least 7 interviews that I was rejected for. I'd get to the final stage and I didn't get those jobs, just trying to leave that startup world. And it was really upsetting at the time. Like, I remember just feeling my confidence was very low, like super duper low. Like, I remember I even cried after one rejection, because it was 4 stages, that job. It was 4 stages. And I thought, yeah, I have this in the bag. I was, you know, I really thought I gave it my all. And I didn't get the job. And I was so surprised and shocked, because I really thought, wow, what else can I actually do? Like, that was my best. So I was really upset. But looking back now, I'm actually glad I got those rejections, because this is probably the best opportunity I've had, you know, and that's the one I got. So I credit that one to God, to be honest. But it's, you know, also a form of encouragement to people. Don't give up. Just keep going, keep applying, and you get that job. And the one you get, you know, hopefully will be the best one, because that's what happened to me. So
that's another thing. Like, don't let the no's discourage you, because at the end of the day, all you need is one yes. So you might get, like, I've heard of people that have applied to like hundreds of jobs and they got that one. Even me, like my current role, like not my current role, but my role that moved me to where I am in Guernsey, it was just that one yes that I got, and that one yes made a load of difference in my career. So don't be discouraged. All you need is that one yes, no matter how many no's you've gotten. So that's
exactly.
Thank you.
Yes. A word.
Yeah, speak.
A word, sis. I can't deal.
So we're going to go into your ICA qualification. So right now you're working on your ICA qualifications. What qualification are you working on in particular?
Yeah, so I'm actually currently working on the ICA for financial crime, so specialist in financial crime. Nice. And I picked that one in particular because I wanted to kind of like, because there's quite a few areas under financial crime. So you have compliance, and financial crime is an area under compliance, and then under financial crime you have like anti-money laundering, you have bribery and corruption. I hope they don't flag your video because of all these words I'm saying: bribery and corruption, money laundering.
An educational video.
But yeah, so we have bribery and corruption. You know, we have counter-terrorist financing. And, you know, there's just all these different areas. I had the option to do like a very niche ICA qualification, but I wanted to kind of leave it at financial crime rather than like getting too specialized, because I still want to leave the door open for me to be able to like get different types of financial crime jobs, right? So that's the one I'm doing, specialist certificate in financial crime, and I've got the exam coming up, so pray for me.
You'll ace it,
and
sure.
Amen. I hope so. But that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. No, I was going to ask you like about your ICA. Like, what are you doing an ICA in yourself?
So my ICA, I'm doing the diploma in compliance, governance, GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. So I'm doing the international governance, risk, and compliance. I thought of doing the certificates, but then I was like, I might as well just go for the diploma. It's more, I get to have the initials after my name if I do that. So I might as well go for that one.
Yes, and it's kind of like having a second degree almost. Like it's very, it's quite intense, isn't it? It's quite intense. And is that fun? No, that's good. And is that funded by the company, or is that like self-funded?
No, it was funded by my company. It was funded by Iwari.
That's really
good. That's another thing.
Even better.
will get your get your company to pay for all these certifications.
If you
And,
can.
when you sign up, because they're going to ask you to sign certain documents, make sure you read it, know how many years you have to work for the company if the company is paying it for you, and negotiate,
Exactly.
negotiate. Don't just accept blindly.
Always
So yeah,
negotiate. Always
yeah.
negotiate.
In your career journey so far, what have you learned? Or I know you've been giving us great nuggets and great tips so far, but what's that one thing that you feel that I learned this as a result of my process and my journey, and I wish more people would know about this?
Okay. I'll definitely say it's just in regards to finding a balance in terms of what you're looking for in a job. um I think it's easy for us to be like, oh, I just want more salary, I want more pay, I want more this, more that, more this. But I think you need to kind of like learn what makes you happy in a role, because I think it's really important to actually be quite happy in a role. Like, you don't want to be in a role where you're just miserable. Like, yes, you're getting the money that you want to get, but you're absolutely miserable and like you don't like the environment. So I think it's just really important to look at like work culture as well. Like, look at where you're putting yourself. You're going to spend a lot of time at work. So I think I kind of put a bit, I wish I put a bit more emphasis on that at the start of my career. And it's not something I regret. It's just a lesson, because obviously my career is still quite young. So I think really think about like, company culture. Are you happy in this role? Not just like, oh, the next highest paid, role, and it's just rubbish and you're miserable and it's giving you sleepless nights. It's not worth it. I think that's kind of like my biggest lesson. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Like, apart from your family, the next thing you're probably going to spend most of your time at, or next place, is your workplace.
In fact, some people end up spending more time than at the
Yeah,
work than with
with
their
your
family. It's
yeah.
crazy. I mean, I've been intrigued to know what yours is as well. Like, what would you say is your biggest takeaway from your career so far? I want to know. I
Um,
want to know.
I think my biggest takeaway from my career so far has been to listen. I think that's what has gotten me so many opportunities so far. So my first internship when I was doing my master's, it was just pushing my eyes out and my ears out. From listening, I heard about other opportunities that gave me other opportunities that brought me to Guernsey. And if I never just listened, I would have probably never heard it. So, for example, when I was at my first internship, the interns were just sitting on the table and we were all working, and they were talking about the Bright Network. I have never, ever, ever heard of the Bright Network in my life. And I was like, oh, what's that? What's the Bright Network? And they were like, oh, there's a Bright Festival. It's a graduate recruitment festival. We should totally go. We all went there together. It was fun. Signed up for a few things and forgot about it. But because I signed up for a few things and told them what my interests were with the Bright Network, they contacted me and said, oh, there's a role in Guernsey. We think you'd be a great fit. Are you interested in it? And that's how I found this role. I never knew countries such as Guernsey existed. So I think in my career, what has been helping me along the way was just listening. Even in my current role, I wouldn't go into too much detail because I'm still there. So I've left my initial role that I was at when I was in Guernsey, but in my current role, just paying attention has really helped me a lot in my career journey. And also just being confident. That's one thing I wish I knew. So one thing that has helped me is just being attentive and listening. But one thing I wish I knew at the start of my career journey is just being confident in your skill. Girl, you are the ish. You know this thing. You are good at what you do. It's like we should have a recorder or something like that that just plays every morning. Girl, you rule. You are the it. You are flat. Good at what you do. Just to remind myself that I know what I'm talking about. So I think that's something that I've had to learn over the years. And now, even at my place, if I'm sure of something, I'm gonna say no. I'm sure of this. Like, I know this is what we're meant to do, and I think that has helped me a lot of times because you tend to meet different characters in your career journey. Some people that might not even know what they're talking about, but they just want to bulldoze their idea to be you would do, even though it's not the right idea. But because I've been able to grow that confidence and being able to build my confidence and know who I am as a career woman, as legal counsel, and as a compliance officer, has been able to help me just make firm decisions and stand my ground in a very polite.
You need to be able to make those decisions. When you're a compliance officer, when you're a legal counsel, people are relying on
your advice. So
on your advice, and that's a very, very good point. And that actually reminds me of like times in my career where I faced imposter syndromes. I don't use a plural. Imposter syndrome, right? In my previous role, where I was compliance manager for this company, I was like 23 when I got that role, and there was just so much responsibility on me. And I felt like, although I knew what I was doing because that's why I took the role and that's why I got the role, I felt like, oh my God, like, why am I'm telling all these people that are like two times my age what to do, you know, the CEOs, like I'm telling, like the CEOs come to me for advice, you know, this person, like it just felt too much and I felt inadequate. But it's like, again, it feeds back to having confidence in yourself, and confidence in yourself by learning. You need to know, you need to make sure you're always constantly, you know what you're doing. Constantly staying updated with what's going on, that will give you the confidence. So make sure you're doing that on the side, and then also make sure that you are confident, and that is what will help you to get rid of imposter syndrome, of that feeling of like, oh, I shouldn't be here, oh God, this is too much for me. So definitely a big one.
I love the way you flip the script. You're like, I know you came to interview me, but I'm going to interview you.
No, it's always good to you know, I think it makes it bounce better.
Yeah, definitely. We're here to learn from each other, so why not? Thank you so much, Kenny, for your time. I'm sure we could stay way longer and ask more questions and stuff like that. But thanks for the tips that you've given us. We love it. Thanks for sharing your career journey with us, and for all the insights we've gotten so far in the course of sharing the journey, and for the personal insights as well.
That they don't know about.
That they don't know about. Personal insights I'm not going to share on this channel.
Behind the scenes, man.
Yes. Go connect with Kenny. Go connect with her on Instagram. Connect with her on YouTube. She's also a fellow YouTuber. Check out her channel. See her clear skin. Just check.
This is makeup robots. We are trying.
My girl.
It was too funny.
Kenny's channel. So
Iwari's
on the career couch tonight.
No, thank you very much for having me. This has been really fun, and I enjoyed hearing your perspective as well. And it's been refreshing, just, you know, walking through my career in my head and actually seeing like how far I've come as well, and the things that brought me here. So it's been really refreshing. Lovely chat. Lovely chatting to you as always.
Thank you. Hopefully we see you in person soon.
I know. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye, sis. Take care.
Y'all know I have to do like a little dance when we've had a beautiful episode of the Career Couch. We have to do a little dance. Little dance. Bye, guys. Thanks for sticking by. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And if you have any ideas of who else we can have on the Career Couch, let us know. Comment down below the nuggets that you gained from today's episode, and we'll see you on the next episode of Career's Couch, or on our next episode of whatever it is we would dish out on Iwari's Voice. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you. Mwah. Bye. Oh, that's me. I'll come to
I can't. The real you is coming out.
Now the room is coming out. The touch me. I was looking fine like this.
Yes. You're too funny. I don't know how to leave though. How do I leave?
I'll end the stream and let me remove you from the stream. Okay, so I'm gonna kick you out of the studio now, just in case.
Isn't that rude? You're kicking me out.
I just saw an icon that said "kick from the studio."
Kick you out. Is it fight?
It's fight.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.